Have you seen the boat that was supposed to come into Dock 15?
The boat?
Yeah, Dock 15, and this afternoon about 3 a.m. You've not seen it?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
I haven't seen it either, but according to the logs, it came in, it is there now, and apparently the whole shipment is due to be unloaded.
Yeah, is that so?
Yeah, now let's see, check manifest.
Okay.
It's got thermometers, x-ray cameras, light detectors, extremely delicate tilt switches, smoke alarms, carbon monoxide detectors. Just can't work out how no one's seen this ship.
No.
Oh, I've got it.
What?
It's a censorship. Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Magnet-Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet-Dale, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers. It's a podcast where two queer wifey types talk about media we've consumed in the week, but not some media, we'll get to that in a minute, and do silly voices and skits and have a silly little catch-up about media stuff in the week.
Silly little cat, she's over there.
That's the silly little cat. We're having the silly little catch-up.
Is that the sauce over there?
No, that's the silly little catch-up.
Ah.
This is the sweet little catch-up.
Ah.
How you doing?
Alright.
I'm
in a weird mood.
You're in a silly little mood tonight,
Silly
it seems.
little mood.
And that's great. I
Yeah.
love when you're in a silly little mood.
Yeah.
You know what else is a silly little mood? It's sometimes how I feel about video games I've played.
Video games.
Yeah. What have you played this week?
I played some of that Arcade Paradise.
Oh yeah, tell us about Arcade Paradise.
It's great. You get laundry,
Yeah.
and you put the laundry in the washing machine,
Yeah.
and then your watch does beep beep, and then you take the washing out of the washing machine, and then you shove it in the tumble dryer. And sometimes you pick up trash.
I feel like this is half of the game. You're sort of missing the bit where you're running a laundromat in order to secretly run an arcade in the back.
I mean that. I seem to spend less time doing that, so I don't really think that counts as the game.
I mean,
There
it's
seems to
how
be
it's how I would explain the
There
game.
seem to be some good things back there, but I tend to spend about 30 seconds at a time playing any of them.
Yeah.
Because immediately my watch is going off and I've got to have that S-rank laundry. If I'm not getting S-rank laundry, what's the point?
I mean, some people would argue getting like an S rank in the arcade game in the back is the point, but no, you got to get that S rank laundry.
I've got to get the best laundry. People need their laundry. My fake video game dad told me that I needed to take some responsibility and learn how to run a business.
You're playing the game about running a double life in which you run a laundromat but also run an arcade, but you're playing it being a responsible child who is being like, no, priority number one, I do have to be well behaved with my laundry business.
I mean, the arcades are making more money than the laundry, fine.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. My laundry business is very, very good, and the toilet is very unblocked. And I picked up all the gum. All the gum has been picked up, and it's still a fishing mini game, so that can get to fuck. And more importantly than that, it doesn't let you do the thing of watching the meter go up and down several times, so you can try and work out your timing.
Oh yeah.
If you let it go back down after it's gone all the way back up once, then it will basically reset your progress, especially on some of the harder gums, like white gum. It's like, this is taking forever.
Oh no.
Like, if you can get 2 perfect hits in a row, that's it, off. Even the highest tier gum. But it's like, it very rarely happens, and it's a pain in the butthole. What about you? What have you played?
Well, we played a thing together that we can talk about now. We couldn't talk about it last week when we'd played it.
Surely you have no secrets.
I mean, sometimes we have secrets, and one of them last week was that we had played Viewfinder.
We had.
Which we can now talk about. We played through Viewfinder in a couple of sittings, start to finish. Really interesting little puzzle game, that.
Oh.
I think the best way to explain it is a puzzle game in which you hold up a photo in 3D space and go, put it here, and now the thing that was in the photo is in the real world in the perspective and position that you placed it.
Yeah.
And that might mean I have a photo of a room and I placed it sort of along a pathway and now I can walk into the room and interact with things in it. It might be I put the photo up in the sky so that like a battery that's in the room in the photo falls down and sort of comes down to reach me, etc. And it is a bunch of gameplay mechanics about where can I hold this photo in 3D space to make the perspective right that it becomes the 3D environment I need it to be.
And be that like a bridge or a sort of a point between several paths.
Yeah.
Or even replacing a upside down version of the exit with a correct way up version of the exit.
You have a lot of ways that you can manipulate, like, that thing's not quite the distance way I need it to be, or I need to replicate that, but in a slightly different way,
or
and
more of that thing.
Yeah, like, I have one battery and there's a photo of a battery, and I can get the photo out the battery out the second photo, but now I've got multiples.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's too big of a spoiler to say eventually you get a camera of your own. It's got very Portal-like pacing in that.
It's got very Portal-like pacing, and it's
regard.
got a very Portal-like, almost silent tutorial.
Yeah.
Of, here is our mechanic. We're going to show you by pictures that you find around the environment.
Yeah.
Okay, now we are going to use static cameras that stay in one place, and you're going to take pictures, and you're going to learn how to use those, and eventually we will assign you your own camera.
Yes, and there are more mechanics beyond that, which we won't get into, that do really interesting brain-melty things with those mechanics. Genuinely, like, I don't remember the last time I played a puzzle game that was this well paced in terms of, like, giving you incremental new mechanics that make complete sense with everything you've learnt so far, but are just like, oh, that's just one extra thing that I have to keep in my head now. But also in terms of difficulty, because, like, I think this was really well balanced difficulty-wise, in that there were, I would say, maybe only 2 or maybe at most 3 puzzles that we, like, got stuck on for a while, and were like...
Not super long.
No, like, maybe like 20, 25 minutes, and we would be like, what on earth are we meant to be doing? We were passing the controller back and forth, and we'd work out the solution and go, of course that's the fucking solution. Like, we were not annoyed at the game, we were like, that's so obvious, I can't hate it.
And it was usually because we didn't look in quite the right place.
It was either that or, like, we just hadn't made the mental leap that was staring us in the face of how to make a thing happen.
We hadn't looked at a thing at quite the right angle.
Or we hadn't done, like, the superliminal-esque thing of, oh, of course that interacts with that mechanic like that.
We hadn't necessarily thought quite laterally enough.
Yes. I don't think any of those, like, 20-25 minute, like, we got stuck on one puzzle moments, I don't think we ever were frustrated when we found the answer. We were like, oh no, that answer is totally fair. We just had to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to say anything about this game's narrative?
It's, interesting, sad, hopeful, beautiful, fascinating, the way you are. Okay, well, we'll talk a little bit about it. So you are a researcher trying to find a way to sort of save the world.
Yes.
And you have found out that there was this group that seemed to have worked on something that might be useful for that.
Yes.
And you are going into their virtual worlds that you have found a document of.
Yeah.
To try and explore through that and find how they were working on solving the problem and what their solution was.
Indeed.
And you have these like weird gramophones in this virtual world that you are like playing back and getting little bits of story.
Yeah.
And at one point meet one of Escher's ribbon painting, ribbon orange or the
yes,
the ribbon head. But it's a cat called Kate.
Yeah.
Is just a very soothing little friend who you can pet. Love that you can pet the cat. And also, if you pet and then stand near Kate, you'll just feel the controller start to vibrate like a little kitty purr.
Yeah, so we were playing this on PS5, and the purring vibration was very good. As someone that owns a very purry cat, that was very accurate controller purring.
I spent quite a lot of time just like, I'm going to go and pet the cat.
Right.
And then I think it was like, I hadn't paused or something, but we were having like a bit of a conversation, maybe about a puzzle, maybe about a mechanic. And I just sort of left myself standing there next to Kate after having pet them. Just like, The controller's purring. You have to feel the cat purr. It was a beautiful moment. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Don't want to spoil it.
It's a roller coaster of a little story.
But also part of the mechanic stuff gets some different things as well, because it's not only the virtual world that you're exploring and each of researchers' private spaces that they make within this virtual
Yes.
world. Sometimes there's also like painted that you can go into.
Yes.
Like, here is a beautiful scenery or a photocopied section.
Honestly, it's not a negative, but it's one mechanic that I wish more use was made of in the game. It doesn't come up a lot, but it's fascinating when it does.
And the colour choice.
Gosh, yeah.
I also like the weird little pixels. And weird sort of being once you start sort of taking photographs of different bits of world like that and then putting them together in a space that you can walk across within a couple of seconds and go... Because I'm used to just going, oh, that thing's a shader. I am in a game where they've just put a shader over it to give it like the like the Borderlands thing with the like, outline lines, or to make it look more like a comic book. But to be able to just like look at a scene from a certain distance and go, that bit over there is all pixely, and that bit over there looks photocopied, and that bit over there looks like an oil paint, and that bit over there looks like a child's picture. And it's fascinating.
I can't say strongly enough quite how good the central mechanic of this is with the photos. It's one of those mechanics where right from the start of the game, the first time you have a photo and you go to place it in 3D space, and there's no like sort of confirmation moment, and you're like, did I do it? And you take a step and you take a step to the side and it's just there in 3D space. It just works so flawlessly that, like, you never take it for granted despite the fact it's seamless.
Yes.
And it's rare to find a, like, core mechanic that well implemented. And
also things always seem to be at a distance that makes sense.
Yes, you're not accidentally breaking the scale of things when you don't mean to. And I am impressed at how well it contextually manages that.
Yes, I think they did a great job with that. I think it all feels great. The world is interesting and creative. And
it is the most interesting puzzle game I've played in a while. It very much reminds me spiritually of something like Superliminal in terms of, like, not necessarily its narrative or the style of its puzzles, although occasionally it dips into that sort of realm, but in terms of we have one central idea that we're just gonna, like, not outstay its welcome on any one idea and keep moving through a selection of, like, stuff we can do with the conceit we built. It feels very polished in a similar way.
I think for me, I'd have to say this is the Portal you never got. This is This is basically F-Stop.
It is a bit, I feel like the Portal comparisons are very warranted. Mm-hmm. It has a very similar mentality to... Basically, the entire game is a gradual tutorial of escalating mechanics, even through to the, like, as we said before, the way that Portal initially shows you portals that you don't have access to, then shows you portals that move around the room outside of your control, then lets you shoot one colour of portal, then lets you shoot both sides of the portal. It's that sort of build-up, and here's new ways that you can one by one start to understand new properties of the tools you have.
Yeah, and in the same way I suspect that if I came back to this in a few years' time and tried to play from somewhere other than the beginning, I suspect that, just like the last time I tried, or maybe the second time I tried to play Portals, if I tried to jump ahead, I might struggle to do that, because I haven't had that ramp up.
Yes.
Puzzles suddenly seem a lot harder if you haven't just been...
If you didn't in the last room get taught the previous thing in the previous room and the previous room.
Exactly. It builds on itself beautifully, and I think speedruns of this game will be fascinating to watch in the most mind-bending ways.
Speedruns of just the demo were mind-melting. Yeah. I can't wait to see speedruns of the full thing. Oh. So yeah, Viewfinder, honestly, super good recommend for a couple of sittings, good mind-melty puzzle game.
Yeah. Maybe make notes for yourself if you're planning on doing this as I get 10 minutes a night to play video games.
Yeah, remind yourself what things do as you go.
Or, don't be as neurodivergent as us.
We played something else together this weekend.
What?
Yeah, we went and saw some friends this weekend, and we continued to play a bunch of Frosthaven.
So I played so much Frosthaven.
Which is, it's that big board game we've talked about before that is a sort of hex grid based dungeon crawler that is surrounded by a big layer of city building, decision making, all sorts of complicated nonsense mechanics around that.
Yep.
It's a big lengthy campaign sort of game.
It's what if the combat aspects of tabletop D&D were, instead of being controlled by dice rolls, were card driven?
Yep. Yeah. So, not a huge amount new to necessarily say about Frosthaven in the weekend of it we played, other than maybe to talk about the fact that, without getting into too many specifics, we encountered a mechanic that allowed us as a group to do some not combat puzzles together.
Yes.
And that was really fun.
Yes. I mean,
with caveats.
It's, to anyone who has got it, as soon as you open the box, you'll be pretty much aware that there is this puzzle book.
Yes.
It is sealed. It's like, don't open this. It's got a little sticker around the outside of it. It's like, don't open this until you're absolutely told to. And we just came upon the narrative that has told us to do that. Obviously, we're going to talk very minor about the contents of the first 4 pages. Yeah. But, so we had a puzzle that was work out this thing.
Yep, this was the very first puzzle of the book, and we all independently, separately went away and solved that first puzzle.
Yes.
And we all got the correct solution.
Yes.
But we were all a little bit, that feels a bit bullshit about it.
Yes.
Because without being too specific, there was a little bit of internal inconsistency in the rules as you progress through that first puzzle.
Yes.
In a way where multiple of us had the same experience of solve the first part correctly, solve the second part correctly, get to the third part, it doesn't work.
Go back and try.
Go back and
the first 2 parts.
yeah, and we hadn't done anything wrong. It's just that the rules had changed and nothing told us.
Yes, not a huge amount, but in a way that was particularly irritating.
It's in enough of a way to go. I feel like that time I spent trying to work out the third one, I feel like the game cheated.
Yes.
And rather than I was foolish. It wasn't that I didn't know what I was doing. The book kind of was sneaky at me.
Yes.
In a not necessarily fun way.
No, and I feel like there are ways you could have done that. That would have made that work.
Well, yeah, we talked about ways that puzzle could have been made more logically consistent.
It was a lovely idea. I'm glad that exists, but also,
and it clearly wasn't too big a problem because none of the 4 of us failed to come to the solution. We all got over that hurdle.
Yeah, some of us took longer than others.
Yeah, but we all got there.
But I am glad also that between the 4 of us we agreed that because one person was like, I've got this, almost before we left the table.
Yeah.
Because we were like, okay, it's late, we should leave this as our finished thing for tonight. Pretty much, I think we're just going to wrap it there, and literally while I was, putting the rest of the stuff away, one person at the table was like, yeah, I've got it, got the answer, and I've confirmed it's correct.
I was so close at that point. I'd worked out the first 2, and the third wasn't working because of that inconsistency. I was like, Urgh.
And I hadn't even had time to look at it yet.
But everyone was well behaved at, stay quiet about what you've realised and give everyone a chance.
Yes.
But conversely, the second puzzle, the only other one we've sort of completed, we, without getting into too many specifics, we made it into a really good collaborative group thing where we had a whiteboard up on a wall, and everyone had, images of the little puzzle book on our phone so we could be referencing it. Yep. Granted, and again, without going into too many specifics, there is some kerning issues on that second puzzle that are...
Make it more difficult than it should be.
Right.
And if you have the first printing, there is a slight misprint on one of the characters at the bottom of the first page.
Yeah.
I would advise anyone who owns a first printing of Frosthaven to check the official FAQ on Board Game Geek and check the official errata.
Yeah,
page.
write your errata stuff on components ready.
Yeah, like, I knew about this the last time we got the game out, and we had a little bit of downtime while I think someone was... Were you working or something?
It was probably me working, yeah.
And I was like, right, I'm going to go through the errata and I'm going to make notes. I made notes in all of the books that could make notes.
Yeah.
I made, all of the envelopes rather than opening any of the envelopes. I just made a note of what should be written inside the envelope on the front of it, so that it could be corrected as soon as possible. Like, even the puzzle book has, like, if you are solving this page or this page, check the errata for a full description of what needs to be done. Because obviously I didn't want to open it up and correct it on the pages. But so I was like, that does need to be looked at.
Yeah. The other thing of note we did that was new in Frosthaven in this big weekend session was that I retired my first character.
Yes.
Because I had a character whose retirement condition didn't involve going and doing a quest. It's just, here is a thing, and when it happens, your character's just retired. And it was to do with, like, killing a certain number of a certain type of monsters. And the last couple of monsters I needed to kill were in front of me, and the logic I had was, if this is what my character's motivation is, they wouldn't pass up the opportunity to do this. I'm going to try and play them in character and go and try and achieve the thing that they want to achieve. And that meant that I stopped playing as the Blinkblade, which is the character I've been playing as so far, who is very similar to the kind of character I played in Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, the sort of mini-campaign before this, who was the Demolitionist. Both are Quattrels, which are these sort of little techie characters. Yeah, the Demolitionist was run up to things and punch them with explosive fists, whereas the Blinkblade is run up to things very fast by using time travel to sprint at them and hit them. And they had sort of an interesting, fun, complicated mechanic of being in fast or slow mode depending on tokens you had that changed what all their cards did. They were very be on the front line, doing a big hit, main character energy characters, which is what I like playing. But I was like, yeah, I'll let them retire and try something very different, which...
Yeah, this is the first character that we unlocked as a not from the start of the game character.
Yeah. And without going into specifics, because if you haven't played Frosthaven yet and you want to, this is a character that can be unlocked optionally as you go. But I started playing a character who is much more of a support class, much more of a ranged, reorganizing the battlefield.
Yes. A bit like the Void Warden from The Lion, which I played. Somebody who can give movement to other characters, help move other people around on the battlefield.
It was a little bit of that, and a little bit of, say, what was the ranged character that our friend played in Jaws of the Lion who could pull enemies closer with the sort of chain weapons? What was that class?
I cannot remember.
No, but you know the one I mean.
I do.
Yeah, so it's a bit of manipulating your friends around the battlefield, a little bit of like pushing and pulling enemies, and also can be a bit of a healer class, also can be a bit of a summon class.
Mm-hmm.
They can fill a lot of support roles depending on what you need them to be.
Yes.
Which has been a real change of pace, playstyle-wise.
Yeah, but we even though retired, which meant that we've had, for the first time in the game, had like quite a significant highest player level and lowest players level, which meant that was sort of changing what difficult level we were playing.
Yeah.
But also, like, it didn't feel like we were having any great struggles for having changed.
Possibly.
Because there was a point where we were just absolutely covered in enemies.
Yeah.
To the point where we just didn't have enough standees for one of them
Yeah.
at one point.
The issue I'm kind of finding is that my character's getting exhausted before missions are over, because I no longer have the big pile of items I'd been acquiring slowly over time as my previous character, which means I have a lot less of those. Tap this to get a free little bonus that will help extend your playability. And that has taken some adjustment, like having to build up a set of equipment again, but I'm getting there.
But also, like, I think it's the difference between, like, being the big heavy hitter and being a bit more controlling and saying I need to dial back a bit on my...
Possibly.
single-use cards.
But we've also had my first couple of missions with this character were both missions that were very, hey, we pretty urgently need to control who's where on the battlefield. Laura, you're really good at that. And I was like, okay, I'll keep him away.
But at the same time, we were in the perfect place because
Oh.
there were so many environmental traps that you could just be like, and you're going into that trap, and you're going into that trap.
And then you're walking back over the trap I just pushed you over.
Mm-hmm.
It was, the first mission in particular was the perfect first mission for the character I dropped into.
You really got to show off on that one.
I got to be a bit of a show-off. But yeah, we continued to play through Frosthaven. We're about to reach our first winter where shit's gonna get bad.
Oh, yeah. I feel like we've got a lot done that first summer because we did a bunch of connected missions where rather than going back to town, you just keep going and do more mission.
Yeah.
So that felt good to do, but it's obviously meant that we could our first summer gather a lot of try and build as many walls as possible for the city, and hopefully we'll be good.
I feel like we've made productive use of time.
I hope so.
Look, we can't know whether other decisions we could have made would have been better, but I feel like we've not made any, totally reckless choices. So yeah, we're continuing to very much enjoy Frosthaven.
Yeah.
In our occasional, let's have a 3-day weekend, binging dungeon crawls.
Mm-hmm.
Have you played anything else this week?
Yes. I've been playing a bunch of Rogue Heroes Ruins of Tassos.
Oh, I wondered what this was you were playing earlier.
Yeah, it's it's trying to be a mix of classic top-down Zelda with a little bit of town building and upgrading and random roguelike dungeon crawling. So you are wandering around in an overworld. You've been blessed by the goddesses. And basically it means that if you die, you get resurrected back at home. So you are the chosen champion and you've got to try and do the thing. The first person you meet's hey, I build stuff. If you bring me some crystals, I build a bunch of stuff. And 6 hours later, I have built enough housing for everyone who will ever want to come live here. And a workshop, and a gym, and a healthcare centre, and a tailor, a farm. I've upgraded my house so it doesn't look like it's got holes all through it anymore. I can upgrade tools and wands and all sorts of other nonsense. And my city is pretty bustling right now. I've completed the first of 4 dungeons. It was difficult, kind of grindy, but the ability to upgrade things like stamina or just your weapons has been really helpful with that. I have acquired a bunch of threads, which are what you need to go and start unlocking extra classes. Because your classes are entirely clothing based, apparently.
Okay.
So you pick someone's I got you this metal thread. You can have it because you're the hero, and that'll give you thread you need to make the knight class. So you take that to the tailor, and they're okay, 400 gems, and I'll unlock you. I'll whip you up a knight class to go out as. Which seems like it's going to be fun. My only issue with that is obviously you spent a lot of time with the primary basic default starting character and have done a bunch of upgrading, but if I start a new character, their weapons aren't going to be at all upgraded. So I don't know how willing I am to just start from scratch in that way again. We'll see. But for now, it's I'm just going to keep going with it and see what happens. I might unlock the ranger, because I do like the idea of a bit more of a ranged character, but there's been this whole mechanic of a bit renting equipment from Link Between Worlds.
Oh, yeah.
But instead of being, hey, if there is equipment you think you might need to get into a dungeon, go see this person, they'll rent you the thing. This is, if you find yourself in a dungeon, randomly breaking pots, or being in a first version of a particular puzzle room when you don't have the particular equipment you need to do the thing, there is a chance you will find a glass variant of the equipment you need. And the glass variant will break on your death, so you won't get it for the overall or anything.
Yeah.
But it is a thing you get to use and be able to solve all that dungeon with.
So that you're not progression blocked.
Yeah.
Upon okay, that's a neat idea.
Yeah, it's been alright. I've managed to sort of work around. They've talked about the fact that it's a procedurally generated thing.
Okay.
Which I was okay, that's fine. If you're going to be a roguelike, might as well do it like Rogue. and actually be procedurally generated. That's a really cool idea. But they've also talked about having like custom built rooms, like hand designed. They're great rooms. They're good. They do the job very well. The only problem is the way they can be stitched together, because rather than having like corridors that are also randomly generated, it's just here is a room, here is another room, here is another room, and these have been hand generated, but they're or hand designed, but they are all connected in a random way, which seems fine until there is a possibility of walking out of one room where you have like 4 pressure plates on the floor and you need to push blocks over them in order to open the door or get a treasure chest or something to perfect that room. And then going into the next room, and that being exactly the same room, but instead of pressure plates is torches that need to be lit. It's like, oh no, I found a hole in your plan. And maybe that was just the fact that I was having a bit of trouble with that particular dungeon, and I had seen it a lot. But there were a couple of times when it was like, that's way too basic. But like, it's a $3.50 on sale at the moment game, so I don't feel too bad about it. But there are a few holes, but it's trying some things, and I'm generally liking the gameplay. I don't know how long that is going to last because it's not that deep, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I will probably play a bit more of it, but I can see myself dropping off this real hard at some point in the not too distant future. And what about you? Have you played anything else?
No, that's all I've played this week.
Well then.
Time for this.
Every day you refuse to play for Twitter, I shall dock you another 10 tweet views. Ha! Now you'll have to pay. I said now you'll have to pay. Hello?
Right on. You're a genius.
Yeah, I am.
You can buy hundreds of followers at sc4m.ly/MLAW.
Goddamn bots. They did pay for blue, though. Hi, I was just wondering if I could speak to you. You're the one with the big YouTube audience. Is that right?
Yeah, hi. Sorry.
Excellent. Well, have I got a deal for you? I know you'll love to hear about this. I'm sure you get bothered all the time. But don't worry, we're not really a small fry type company. We would like to ask if you'd be interested in doing an advertisement for our new game. Now, you might have heard of our company before, but don't worry about that. You don't have to look into it. You don't have to research, don't worry about it, don't even think about it, but we are a company. We've had many successful games, and so you'll know we've got money, and we can give you some of the money if you'd like to advertise our game.
Okay, what's the game?
Well, like the, I believe they call them gacha mechanics.
God.
They're like a random chance of getting a thing, and you play, and there's a narrative world and lots of anime characters, and of course people do love the anime characters. So it's designed like your energy runs down, and if you want to make the most of it, you have a chance of getting more energy. And also, if you pay enough gems, which you buy with a real world currency, you use the gems, and the first few gems you can earn in game, and you can earn just a small income of gems as you go on. But don't you worry, because you can buy more, and we do whole bundles for small amounts, and some of them are on specials. But all of those things that people just really love from our previous game is coming right back in this, and we just wanted, if you'd like it, we were thinking maybe we'll give you $200 in-game credit. That's nearly enough for 752 random loot pulls, and you'll get a chance to do that.
So that is, I don't know if you've done even half a second of research into me. That is absolutely everything I cannot stand in a game. But I'll tell you what, we'll do this.
Right.
For every $300 that you donate to a recognized user-led addiction program, I'll give you a spin on my wheel of promotion.
Ooh.
And
That's very shiny.
Yeah, and if you hit this big flashing section here.
Oh, that's flashy.
Yeah, then I'll enter you into a random draw for a golden ticket.
Golden, you say?
Which grants you the chance
What?
that I might think about promoting your game.
The golden ticket, you say, and then
Yes, yes.
I see the shining there, the flashing bit.
No, that's not it. The more golden tickets you have,
Right, yes.
the higher the chance that you'll earn a platinum.
A platinum?
12-star, elite, legendary, shiny thought, which could win you the league and get me to follow through on that thought.
You can follow through on the thought that you'll think about it, and there'll be the shiny, and you'll spin the thing. Do we get to watch the spinning go round?
Oh, of course you get to watch the spinning go round. What do you say?
Okay. I think I can talk to our legal department. We can liquidate everything. We're dumping all the company assets into the gamble awareness program. Come on, shiny thought, shiny thought, shiny thought.
Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. Better luck next time. Maybe sell your car. I hear the more expensive the car you sell, the more likely you can get higher odds.
Okay, what do you think I could get for the entire garage? I've got like 7 in there right now, and I could probably get another one to sell off, and I could give all that to which charities may give me the highest odds, and I can put all that. Okay, I'm going to put all that into an addiction campaign. They do stuff for substance abuse and for gambling. Maybe that's probably got higher odds, so I can go, come on, spin. I can get the thought, thoughts. Bugger.
So, what have we watched this week?
We watched Pride in Brighton.
We did.
We went to Pride in Brighton.
Yeah. Trans Pride.
Brighton.
We got to specify, because otherwise people will assume just Brighton Pride, which hasn't happened yet, and also corporate.
It's very corporate.
But yeah, tell us about Trans Pride.
We were worried we were going to get rained off again.
Yep. The night before was predicting terrible thunderstorms.
Yep. They were like 10 o'clock, about the time we're going to be setting out, it's going to be thunderstorms and rain, and it's going to be swamped. And to be fair, it was pretty rainy outside.
Yeah, we got to change the route, not go to the garden we were going to go to. We got to try and find places to move
everything indoors.
Inside.
I think they made the right decision.
Yeah.
To go, we're moving it inside, we're going to do a shorter march, we'll do the best.
I am very impressed at how well they managed to pivot everything the night before.
And thank you very much to all the venues that opened up and let us have all the space.
That said, it was an absolutely beautiful sunny day.
It was.
I couldn't have asked for better weather, honestly.
Yeah.
It was pretty fucking perfect.
I nearly got sunburn in a couple of places.
A little bit of a breeze just to take the edge off. It was a lovely day for a march.
It was a lovely day. And over Trans Plus Pride in London the week before, we had a real good shout. We had a real good protest energy.
It was possible to get more than just trans rights or human rights going, which was nice.
That was nice. Although we did meet someone who had also been in London the week before who was like, I think it just depended which bit of the march you were in.
We can only talk about the bit we were in and the experience we had. Anyone else's is conjecture, but we got some very, very good chants going.
Yes.
I've
written some down for next time.
Got some new ones we hadn't heard before. The changed route meant that we did a little bit of a walk down the seafront, as is the usual for Trans Pride Brighton, but we then sort of turned back up into the high street, and it was nice to see bits of the high street that don't normally have the march go past have like bank workers having an excited little wave in the window and shop staff in the window cheering along.
And people standing at the side of the roads, like, joining in with chants and stuff.
It was honestly quite nice having a larger portion of the march be, like, right smack in the middle of the city.
Yes.
There was something good about the energy that brought.
Yes. And again, compare that to London the week before, or 2 weeks before, was it? And we had like business owners standing outside their very expensive London and businesses with like grumpy faces, like, don't you lot come anywhere near my business.
Arms folded, giving a good scowl, being like, you stay away from us and our London shops.
Like we had like people in their like flats, like, or their apartments above the top, like joining in, banging pots and pans. We had, like, random, like, employees of various businesses putting signs up that they'd clearly hand-drawn in a hurry.
Yeah. I will note I did enjoy the woman on her Hindu who was having a bit of a grump at being shown up. Like, it's meant to be. It is Brighton. Why is that other people more important than me? There was a couple of sourpusses that I was like, oh, I'm enjoying your you're being a bit grumpy.
Yes, the couple where someone was just like joining in with us in the all the Tories are fascists chant, while the seemingly partner who was very definitely with them, grumpy face.
Yeah, you two need to talk about your political beliefs because one of you was chanting that all the Tories are fascists and one of you was grumpy at that. It was a really good day.
It was great.
It was the correct kind of having a good angry shout energy that I was hoping last week or the other week would be.
Yes. And also I like that despite being in a city centre, there is enough green spaces from where we were that we were able to basically split up. Some people obviously went in to go and see the speakers or performers that were going on. The Dome had the first 12 acts of the day who'd originally planned to be on the stage at Brunswick Gardens. We had a few other, like, I think the stalls had been put in the Ledworth Centre.
Yeah.
We had everyone, a lot of the people had gone and just split up around the various parks because there are a lot of green spaces there.
There was a lot of people taking up Pavilion Gardens, I think it was. It had become sort of a nice little
I think a whole bunch of people went down to the beach as well, so...
Yeah, As lovely as Brunswick Gardens is as an area for everything to congregate, it was nice having it all just sort of be in the city.
Yes.
It was a really lovely time.
It really was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well done to everyone. I hope it was a success for getting donations to keep running it, because this was the 10-year anniversary. It's weird to think they came from that tiny little event that I wandered past accidentally.
Yeah.
To what it is now with, was it 30,000 plus people? I don't know if you've seen final numbers on that.
Yeah, last I saw was 30,000 plus was the last estimate I saw.
It felt like good energy.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they're doing well. What about you? Have you looked at anything else?
Well, we've looked at some other things that for the time being we're not going to be talking about on this show.
That is true.
So we, are known to watch TV shows and films and things. And
we are people
who consume media.
Have an audience?
Yeah, and we talk about media we've consumed, and some of that is media that is produced by companies who are currently being striked against by both the Writers Guild of America and SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah.
And there is currently some confusing messaging going around about what the Screen Actors Guild in particular is asking for in terms of a boycott. There is some differences between a lack of clarity as to who is considered a reviewer versus an influencer in terms of talking about products being made. But we're going to err on the side of, if it's being produced by one of the companies that are being striked against right now, we're not going to talk about it here on this show.
Yes, and also, what I've been hearing is, don't be promoting shows, movies, etc.
Yes.
Whether you are reviewing, or if you are someone who usually reviews from a point of view of, don't be, talking about, I saw the thing, it was great.
Yeah.
But also, not boycotting going to the cinema, not boycotting watching the things.
Yes, that is important to note. They haven't called for a boycott on watching these pieces of media. In particular, they specifically do want people to keep seeing the things they have produced, because if you don't go see those things, they're not going to get even the currently meager residuals for those projects that they did work on. But, also not watching, watch specifically with a lot of their SAG-AFTRA's points currently they're making in the strike about AI projects. If you don't watch the projects currently being released with real people, and they start producing projects with AI and they do about the same, that's just going to send them the message that, they're right to not need actors.
Especially in a few months' time, where if this strike is still dragging on, and people are hitting that, it's over right now, it's all happened now, right? Everyone's gone back, because they're still producing stuff.
if that
Yes.
mindset at that point when they are using AI potentially for stuff,
yeah.
they're going to see that as AI doing better than real people.
A lot of what I've seen has been actors saying the studios want to, and we know this is a thing, the studios have said their plan is we're going to ignore the strike to the point that writers literally lose their homes and become homeless, because then they'll come crawling back. And going and still seeing the things and still engaging with the piece of media means that some residuals will still come in, which will, in some small part help keep them able to strike for longer. It will delay the point at which that end case happens. But yeah, as we said, there is currently some lack of clarity as to, as I understand it, SAG-AFTRA does not view it as as crossing the picket line for reviewers whose job is to review things to continue reviewing things. But there has been a lot of mixed messaging in communication around whether people who say, like we do, have a podcast in which we talk about our opinions on pieces of media, whether that is a reviewer doing a review as is their job in that sense. Because we do not know for certain what the stance is, we're going to go on the side of make sure we are definitely on the side of supporting the strike, and therefore, hey, we're not going to talk about our opinions about X TV show or Y movie being made by studios who are trying to squeeze all of the creative people out of those jobs. So, there is still plenty of watching media that we can talk about, but we were going to avoid, talking about...
Probably anything on a streaming service or in a cinema.
Indeed. I mean, there's maybe one streaming service that I'm going to talk about today that we can still talk about.
We're going to talk about some Dropout.tv, because they pay above the union wage and have even said, like, hey, if you want us to join you in not producing any more content, we're willing to do that.
Yeah, we recognise we're not one of the studios you're striking, but if you want us to stop making content during the strike, let us know. They've been very good about, being on the right side of things and also, paying people properly for their work.
It really helps when it comes from people who are the ones making the things that are also the ones paying for making the things.
Indeed. So, yeah, look forward to us talking about Dropout.tv programming, because that is a streaming service that isn't currently being striked by both the writing and acting sides of the industry.
And probably a whole bunch of YouTube.
Yeah, whole bunch of YouTube. We'll find stuff to talk about in the watch segment.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. So on that note, we've been watching some more Dropout.tv content. That good streaming service.
Yeah.
We, I think since last week, have watched, what was it called? Trade School Musical 2.
Yes.
Which was the latest episode of Play It By Ear, the improv musical show where every episode they make up a musical on the spot.
From scratch.
With prompts they have to incorporate into the songs and musical genres they don't know about in advance.
Oh, yes.
Trade School Musical 2 was fantastic. Spur of the moment decision was made right at the start that this was going to be a sequel to a sequel to a musical that none of the cast had made or seen.
Yep.
Which largely involved, and that one thing we don't talk about. Oh, on we move. But it was a very fun episode. I continue to really enjoy Play It By Ear.
Oh, yes.
It is impressive how well that cast, that rotating cast, takes silly little one-off goofs and remembers to sort of incorporate them back into the narrative later.
I don't have the brain for that shit, but I do appreciate it.
Yeah. I will know. I think I need to go back and, rewatch Season 1 to check whether I'm imagining this, but I feel like Season 2 of Play It By Ear has been pretty consistent in its, it's had a stable cast that it's rotated people around in a way that Season 1 didn't so much. In that I
think there was more variability.
Yeah, because
I don't know if that was to do with availability or...
I'm curious, because what I'll say is, the original Play It By Ear episode was an episode of Game Changer, their game show about, every episode's a different game show conceit.
But it did involve two of the people who are almost permanently attached to Play It By Ear and who are already well known for doing improv musicals.
Yes, so it's that episode, I believe, was entirely done by 3 people whose whole thing is making improv musicals in LA. And Season 2 has, I think every episode so far had at least 2 of those 3, and I think it keeps routinely being the same 2.
Yes.
And I'm wondering whether, and this is me speculating, whether because they are very practiced at this, they are being kept in rotation to give a degree of stability to the rotating cast. To be like, hey, we know they can hold down a baseline for other people to play around on top of and have a little less pressure if this isn't usually their improv space.
I think the first series had at least one of them in every episode. I can't remember if it was both.
Yeah.
But I think both of them were in a lot of the episodes from the first season.
Yeah.
But they're very good at it, and I think you need, with something like that, to have a little bit of a base of experience.
Yes, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing by any means. I really enjoyed Season 1.
Yes.
Season 1 was definitely a bit more inconsistent in its quality in places. It had sort of ups and downs a bit more. Whereas Season 2 has felt more stable, and I think that has helped having... And I don't think they've dominated any of the musicals, but they've just been there as a, we'll get the ball rolling if someone who's not usually doing improv musicals needs a second to warm up into the conceit.
And I think sometimes that is all you need, enough of a base around you to be able to join in it.
Yeah, or like a safety net to go, cool, if I stumble, there's someone that can pick up the ball.
Yes.
And I think that all of the rotating in guests they've had have been fantastic, but I think this episode was the one where it sort of clicked that, like, it feels like this might be a deliberate choice, and that's not a complaint. It's just an observation.
Yeah. It's good. It's silly.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yep.
We've also had some more
Make Some Noise, which is that game show with a bunch of prompts that usually are play a silly character based on a prompt, or come up with a name for a... the episode we were watching tonight had... facial hairstyles that don't exist, and what would you name the facial hairstyle? Yes. Sometimes it's make the noise that this fictional thing that doesn't exist would make. It is a silly, goofy little voice and character performance.
Yeah, it's
game.
Good improv stuff in a neat little package that is very silly.
Yeah,
and I enjoy it. I'm glad that of all the shows that have spun out of other dropout shows, I'm glad that's one that's kept going, because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
More of that.
Yeah, more of that. Those are currently the 2 that are like rotating on and off on varying weeks.
Yes.
But beyond that, we've got Actually, that we always enjoy, which is here is a fact with something pedantic and slightly wrong about it. Can you notice the tiny little inaccuracy we snuck in?
Nerdy game show of the concepts of nerds love being correct and correcting people, and if
but
you
like,
buzz
not in
in,
a
you've got
mean-spirited way.
No, but you've got to prefix every answer you give with actually.
Yep.
Otherwise you won't get the points.
Yep.
Which can lead to some ridiculousess if people forget to do that.
Someone finally gets the answer and doesn't say I'm actually, and someone snipes it. It's beautiful.
But in a fun, light-hearted way.
Yeah.
Yes, and it being like sort of pop culture, nerdy anime, TV shows, sci-fi stuff that we can actually expect to get some of the answers.
Yeah.
Because no one's asking us sports questions.
Hooray.
Or no, at least not real sports, just sports anime.
Yeah.
It's a fun show, and I also love the sets for that show. It's evolved a bit over the years, but like we've got things like the Thanos Infinity Crocs.
There was a square Pokeball, I think, in a previous season.
Square Pokeball. The 2 left shoes of the Back to the Future 2 Silver Night trainers.
Yeah, it's a cavalcade of why does that annoy me? What's wrong with that? Oh no.
The 2-eyed fish from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Blinky the True 2-eyed fish. It's always... Occasionally there would just be something in the background and be like, what is that Anduril the lightsaber that was broken? What? No, why? Why would you do this?
Yes, There's a lot of fun stuff on Dropout. It's worth checking out if you are looking for content that is
Isn't
not
made by Netflix or Disney. Or...
isn't made by any of the companies currently being striked against that are doing terrible, evil, terrible things. What about you? You watched anything else this week?
It's not been a huge watched thing, really. We mostly played boarded games.
We did play a lot of boarded games.
Best part of 4 days.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it, really.
Well then, time for this.
Hey, Laura.
Yes?
We've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
New sponsor.
Ooh.
Well, do you like being able to block things that you don't want to see?
That I do.
Do you like the fact that you can basically just create a filter for the internet in general?
Yeah.
And it's just right in there.
Yeah, I won't accidentally see the stuff I'm not trying to see.
Yeah, you can customize your web browsing experience.
Yeah.
Well, right now, as you may be aware, there is like a whole bunch of strikes going on.
There's a bunch of strike action going on.
Yeah.
More power to the striking workers.
More power to the striking workers. Very encouraging that.
Yeah.
What if you would just like to block any content that is currently being picketed against?
Oh, I would like that a lot.
Well, you can. You can do that. It's scab block. It's like adblock, but you don't get any of the struck content.
Oh, it just takes all the guesswork out. It just won't show up.
Yeah, you don't have to know. You just be like, hey, here's the thing.
Yeah.
And also it will link you to how you can help the strikers.
Oh, that's good.
Right.
Oh, see, I tried to click on that streaming service there, and it looks like they have just zero catalogue right now, other than a notice about striking workers, and the fact that residual payments have basically ceased to exist in a streaming world.
Yeah. And also, look, if you click down there at the bottom, it will show you exactly how much the people and the executive board of that company are making.
Oh, wow, that is a lot more than that one actor who was in 90 episodes out of 150 of that hit show on that streaming service and made $30 in residuals?
Yeah,
Fucking hell.
compared to the, $8.4 billion that person's made.
That is tens of millions right there. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, I think we know who the problem is here.
Yeah, I don't think it's the striking workers. I think it's that one.
Definitely that one
with the millions in it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Now see here, if you click again, there is a link to alternative things that aren't content blocked at the moment.
Ooh.
Things that are available, things where people are paying. And you know what? I feel better about giving money to the content which is already paying its workers properly.
Right, that's a good move to make if you can.
Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi. So, I've been busy.
That sounds like work. I hope you've been paid for that. You paid yourself.
I mean, of course I paid myself.
An extra bonus for that, right?
This is the good kind of being busy. I've been busy.
Vlogging.
No, not this time.
Right.
I went to that game development conference happening in the UK.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I've got some notes.
All right.
I've been taking notes.
Okay, yeah.
We need to step up our game.
Oh.
There are whole new types of evil we have not been working on.
Okay, yeah. What are those? What are the Brits been up to?
Okay. So here's how you start. You start by data harvesting all the employees. Getting every single drop of data we can out of their computers, because we can do that because we have access to all their stuff.
We've been doing that, I'm pretty sure.
Exactly, we've been doing that. So what we got to do is we're going to just throw all of that data just straight at AI.
Right.
And we're just going to go, AI, which of these people aren't working hard enough?
Right.
And whatever the computer spits back out, we go, well, an algorithm decided you're not working hard enough, do more work.
Right.
It is, and they try and complain. They try and say, oh, you're working me too hard. You're, not being fair to me. It's like, well, don't blame me. Blame the computer. We put all the data in. The computer said it.
Yeah, the computer said you are lazy and you're taking too many breaks. And the 5 minutes that you were away from your office in the last month is too much and we need to fire you.
Yeah, because, like, look, here's the thing, you know, I've been thinking about, like, how we do the prompt to make it, you know, give us the result we want.
Right.
And where I sort of went from there was, what if we don't say, tell us if someone, you know, one of these employees has done a bad job.
Right.
Or who's done the worst job.
Right.
You know, we put all the employees' data in and we say, 10 of these people have done a bad job and are, you know, lazy and not doing enough.
Right.
Which 10 is it? Because then it's gonna find us 10 names.
Right.
And if the computer told us 10 names, we are not, you know, we have not been discriminatory if we, you know, force them to do more work and have fewer breaks, because a computer said they were doing not enough.
Yeah, I mean, from what I have experienced of AI so far and what I've been reading about it, I mean, other than we definitely need to be afraid.
Yeah.
But apart from that, what I've been hearing is that, you know, if we just ask it even, like, simple questions after we've done that, we can start getting the answers we want. Anyway, we can be like, hey, chatbot, do you think that there might be more people who are doing a bad job?
Yeah.
Okay, you know, of the names we gave you earlier, you know, can you name those people? And we can just get to fire a bunch of extra people.
Yeah, we get the data back and we go, I think you're incorrect, there's actually more names, and it'll go, ooh, I'm sorry, I failed to find them all. It'll throw more names out. Because, you know, AI wants to please us, and it's gonna please us by throwing names we can use to justify worse treatment of our employees.
I mean, I've been hearing that even if you try and deny that then say, you know, actually, no, you've definitely got everyone. It'll be like, no, I haven't. There are more. From what I hear. I think that's possible.
Yeah, no matter.
Which means we are perfectly justified whichever way we go with this.
None of it is our fault. We just have justification to work them more to the bone.
The Brits are fucking geniuses.
I know.
So, Laura.
Yeah?
What have you listened to?
I popped a couple of new bits of music in my ears. I listened to a couple of new songs. I listened to a track called Bowling Alley Carpet by a band called Gum Disease.
Excellent.
They're a sort of femme vocal grunge band. The track is... It's a song about, like, depression and loneliness that uses the colourful aesthetic of a neon bowling alley as sort of deliberate contrast to imagery of a lonely, like, the loneliness of no one showing up to a birthday party, but sort of more generally about, like, you know, no one showing up when you kind of need them to.
Yeah.
It is a grunge track that plays with, like, deliberate clashing contrast of visual imagery and tone.
Right.
In a way that is like, you pull it off very well. And the other track I listened to, and I'd heard like, I'm gonna say like a third of this track before, on TikTok. It's called Me Want Bite by Keys, Keyes.
Me want bites.
Me want...
What's the rest of it?
Plant corn dog delight. Yeah. So, yeah, you might know this is the TikTok song about the man wanting to eat the water sausage. Because in his words, water Twinkie nice. Me think water Twinkie nice.
What is water Twinkie?
It's a water sausage, I think they're called. It's the thing that grows on a reed and it looks... It's a big
like cattails.
Yeah, it's a big clump of seeds that sort of looks like a sausage that grows on a reed coming out of the water.
Yes.
And now, first of all...
Because they explode, don't they?
Yeah,
And it's all
so
just seeds.
I will quibble that the whole I can't eat them thing, because... If you cook them, if you boil them in water, they don't do the explodey thing. And apparently you can cook them and have them be nice to eat. But, yes, there was a whole trend of people biting into them on the plant, and they just sort of explode, and suddenly seeds are coming out your mouth and your nose and every orifice on your face. But, me want bite. Me want plant hot dog delight. I did not know it was part of a larger song.
Okay.
That is a song that, like, I can best describe as being about... having impulsive, like, intrusive impulsive thoughts that you're not going to act on. They're just your brain going, yeah, but I want the thing that I shouldn't want. Like, I wanna bite sea foam, and I know it's just foam, and it's not anything, but it looks like I want to bite it. Lava. I want to drink
forbidden honey.
I want to drink the spicy forbidden honey. Yep. I want to drink the spicy soup.
The stuff from the coffin that they found.
Yeah, it is just a song about, look, I recognise that it's not going to be good and I'm going to have a bad time and I physically can't do it.
But my brain says...
me want bite. Me want bite. And I can empathise deeply with the little voice that's just like, yeah, I would drink the sarcophagus juice. Me want slurp.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
It's a fun, it's silly little song.
Okay,
and
I'll have to look that up.
I genuinely kind of found some joy in just, by the end, I was like, I want to be singing along. Me want fight.
Who's it by?
Keys. Keyes.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, what about you? What have you been listening to?
We listened to, because we needed some music while doing gameplay of Frosthaven styles. We listened to Elder Scrolls Skyrim, Winter Storm's music and ambience, 12 peaceful scenes.
Oh,
which
yes.
is a 2-hour mix on YouTube that is perfect for playing Frosthaven with. It's not really repetitive. It's got good sounds for do fight and wander in the snow. And it filled a lot of the silence very well. But the other thing really want to talk about that I discovered, thank you very TikTok.
Thank you very TikTok.
Thank you very TikTok. Ever so slightly late. Would have been great for this weekend. This is tabletopaudio.com.
Ooh.
Which I have never heard of before.
I'm looking over your shoulder and I see exactly what this is going to be.
So they have a whole set of just like, here is just a soundscape ambience thing that will just play music for you. But they now have something else. They now have the Dungeon Soundpad.
Ooh.
The Soundpad basically uses like generative audio of like things like do you remember My Noise I used to talk about a lot?
That lets you filter in and out different ambient sound types.
Yeah, what if you wanted, for example, one for ancient Greece or Atlantis or like just dungeon crawling sounds, or even like a town, like a tavern.
Yeah.
You can go like, I want sounds of wind, I want sounds of laughter, I want the sound of a horse outside, I want the sound of like drinks clattering, I want the sound of someone playing music in the background. And you can put all of these things on at different volumes and they will come in and out variously, and you can add like more drama to things if you want like more dramatic stuff. And it's just a great little tool for things like D&D and Gloomhaven and Frosthaven, and I wish I'd discovered that. And it works really well on a mobile phone. I imagine the desktop version works just as well. Giving it a try. You can like save settings of like, here is I've made a thing, it was perfect. You can save your settings for that.
Save your preset, yeah.
That is my preset that I planned for next D&D session or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's very cool. I believe they're entirely donation based, no advertising. So, if that is a thing that might be good for you, maybe that would be a thing that you could try.
Yeah.
But it is all available, and that's a really cool thing.
Nice.
What about you? Is there anything
I
else?
haven't listened to anything else, but I do want to share my favourite line from Me Want Bite, because I just think it's some beautiful wordsmanship.
Excellent.
Me would like to partake of yon spicy smoothie lake.
What is the spicy smoothie like?
It's the lava.
It's the lava.
I would like to partake of yon spicy smoothie lake.
That's a good line.
It's a good turn of phrase.
I like that.
I like a good spicy smoothie lake.
Nom nom nom.
So yeah, have you listened to anything else?
I think that's about it, really.
Well then, time for this.
And finally tonight, Evil Mastermind the Butcher has made all tofu sapient and released thousands of giant talking quadrupedal blocks of tofu loose in the cities across the globe. His announcement to the world, checkmate vegans. More on this story as this news breaks. I mean, initially I was a bit worried, like, if the tofu is all, very feelsy and, has an ability to be like, don't eat me, then we have one less thing to eat, and I'm already struggling a bit. But then I went to the fridge where I had been, pressing some tofu
for dinner tonight, just
Yeah.
in that nice tofu press, when I undid the little wing nuts on the tofu press, started groaning and asking me to tie it back up tighter. Or, there was a lot of, eat me mummy type stuff, and so I think we might be alright, because apparently the tofu is just horny for getting eaten.
Oh, God.
Look, that one's spraying itself with vegan whipped cream. Inside the boardroom of War's new Disc Max Flicks.
Hi.
Hi.
So, I've been getting creative.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I've been, thinking about ways we can screw over actors.
Excellent. I love nothing more than screwing over an actor, darling.
Well, I mean, if it means we get more money in our pockets, all the better.
Yes.
We ruffled some feathers the other week when we suggested, getting background actors in once for one day and scanning their likeness and then using them forever and never paying them.
Well, that seems perfectly reasonable.
But, I mean, first of all, I think that was not going far enough. I think get them in for an hour's slot and pay them, pro rata. Only pay them for an hour of a day rate, of course.
What about this? I've been talking to a friend of mine who runs a camera company. And, obviously we do have a lot of cameras in the business, and, people technically are... Anyone who owns a Ring doorbell has basically signed away their rights. So what I think we could probably do is we could get anyone captured on a Ring doorbell and then have them projected into the back of our movies, and we use them in perpetuity. But then we don't have to pay anyone, ever. In fact, people have paid a friend of mine in order to get that information.
Well, here's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
I'm thinking we take existing movie footage,
right? Yes.
And we just we strip the audio track out,
right?
And we sort of rejumble the order a little bit, and then we just redub it with one of those AI voice sound-alike programs,
right,
to make it seem like we've made a new movie in the Termite Fellow series.
Right,
we just sort of reshuffle all the action shots and then use a computer to make it sound like he said new words about being the Ant Fellow.
Right.
And we put that out, and there we go, new film.
Oh, yes, maybe we could name each of those films made in such a way after some kind of Chinese meal. I heard it worked once in the early 2000s, don't worry too much about it, but a similar sort of idea of just remixing old films. But obviously we thought of it, and it's new. It's definitely not remixing. We'll call it something else. We'll. I've got a friend in Silicon Valley. We'll work something out. We'll call it something different. But we're very, very clever for coming up with that, I think.
Oh yes. Any other last ideas you've got?
Could we make like a cross between one of those Survivor type shows? Or like America's Got Talent, but also with like a degree of what's that thing with the school children and the bombs, and they're all fighting each other.
Royal Battle.
Royal Battle, yes.
Royal Battle.
Like that, but it's who wants to be in the next superhero movie?
I mean, a lot of people who haven't heard of the strike, probably.
Exactly, and we'll get content creators in because they're cheap and easy, and they're all just hungry for fame, so they'll think that the $20 and free donuts on set will be sufficient recompense for the work, and they won't be able to join the union, they'll be written off, they'll never be able to join the union in this town. Well, it won't matter, will they, because we'll have scammed them in at that point. They're ours forever.
Wonderful, right. I think we've made great progress today.
Yes,
I'm good. I'm off outside to go pay someone to cut down all of the trees outside so that all the striking workers don't have any shade while they're trying to do their silly little march.
Way ahead of you. I've actually set all the trees on fire, so it's even hotter out there.
Oh, beautiful,
yes,
beautiful.
Yes. And I'm paying someone in about an hour to go down and just pour some polystyrene over that, so the fumes are just horrible, and they'll all just disperse.
Beautiful.
Yes. I've watched some war movies. I know how to fight these in my time. Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Social justice warriors.
Social justice warriors?
Yeah. Right, Larry.
Right, Barry, how you doing?
It's been a very social week, but
Same.
nice to see people and have a little bit of a downtime, but nonetheless, been nice to just sort of get back and just have like chat with the two of us and stuff.
Oh yeah, I get you.
Yeah. You been up to much?
Been keeping an eye on the state of the world as you do.
It's frankly terrifying. I looked at Twitter for about half an hour earlier and
Regretted it.
I feel marginally better educated. I did have a good idea about a lot of the things, but also now that most of the people have left that I used to follow, it is just the worst possible of everything all the time.
Oh god, it really is.
Constantly.
Yeah. Fun fact, I was in a group DM earlier today that stopped functioning because one person in the group DM didn't follow one other person, and despite everyone having agreed to join the group DM, it's like, you can't message them, they're not following you. It's like, yeah, we're in a group. The whole thing just broke. Like, absolutely, that site's falling apart.
Yeah.
But the thing I saw today was so Italy has been doing some homophobic shit.
Yeah, didn't they just elect a fascist government or something? I'm not sure if people were being hyperbolic, but that is what I heard today.
If it's hyperbolic, it's not that hyperbolic.
Right, yeah.
One of the first things that they are attempting to do, and have started the process of doing, is where gay or lesbian couples, have had both partners listed on the birth certificate for a child, despite one of them not being the biological parent, have started having parental status retroactively removed off of their children's birth certificates. And
what possible good can that do? I mean, apart from being just fucking evil, but...
Well, I mean, the argument that they've tried to make, and that has... we'll get to this in a second, has caught some sort of steamrolling in the anti-trans community, is... a birth certificate's meant to be a record of biological lineage of birth, and you shouldn't be on there. And it's no, that's not what it is. Plenty of times a straight couple will have a kid together, and maybe more than one person was fucking someone, and they didn't know for sure who was the parent, and put down the one who was going to be raising the kid. No one worries about that. But as soon as a gay person might not technically be biologically related, suddenly they're worried.
Also, aren't surrogates a thing, and don't with surrogate births, don't...
Right, exactly.
Immediately adopted parents get usually put on those.
Exactly. There's a lot of circumstances in which, birth certificates are sort of malleable in that process.
Right. Yeah.
This is not because there is any actual justification to do it. It's homophobia, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Right. And what has been sort of interesting thing to sort of watch snowball from there is a lot of the known anti-trans voices in the UK have been pointing to that and going, yeah, that's a good idea. We should be recognising biological reality. Take lesbians and gay people off of their children's birth certificates.
Now let me take a wild stab in the Twilight at the very best, and ask the question: are these also the same people who, while fighting against trans people, have been saying that it's homophobic and it's conversion therapy and things like that,
100%.
And saying that they're all for gays and lesbians and bisexuals, but not for the trans.
100%. This is many of the prominent voices that have loudly said, I'm not anti-trans, I'm pro-gay, I'm protecting gay people, I'm protecting lesbians from men pretending to be women, and then, actively going, maybe we should take away, gay people's rights. Maybe that'd be good. Because, this is not a surprise to any of us that have followed those communities. No. Trans people have always been a wedge issue. We very quickly saw that lead to bisexual people being wedged out of that acronym, and now we are seeing more and more examples of gay and lesbian rights also being removed. Because
and we have seen that steamrolling, to be honest, because the trans wedge issue seemed to be going for about 7 to 7 or so years, that's been really ramping up and up and
Yeah.
up. And then I would say in maybe like the last 2, the anti-bisexual stuff's been getting like a lot heavier.
Yeah.
And it seems like, the half-life between hating more groups is
It's
getting
diminishing.
a lot narrower.
Yeah. It did not take 7 years for them to move on to the gay and lesbians
No.
at that point because,
No.
they only needed to know that the tricks were working.
Yeah, the
to be
door
able
was pushed open, and now
Yeah.
they're just kicking it.
And again, this is why, if you cannot care about trans rights for any other reason, care about them because of the importance of solidarity within the wider queer community, because we are not stronger apart.
No.
Like, the second you start going, I'll feed this portion of the community to the wolves to save my skin, all that you're doing is opening the door for them to get to you.
Yeah, and also, the types of people that we've been talking about, and we've been called hyperbolic for saying that they're like, that they're fascists or whatever.
I mean-
obviously I never believed any of that. I have agreed that they are, in fact, fascists. And we know where fascism leads. They'll start with 1 or 2 groups, be it migrants or queer people of any type. Then they'll narrow and narrow and narrow and narrow, and before you know it, it will be you're not white enough, you're not able-bodied enough.
Look, we're already starting to see some edge cases of the anti-trans community going, wait a second, those far right white national extremists that we aligned ourselves with, they're taking away women's rights too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real. The leopards eating faces party wasn't supposed to eat my face. Shit.
Yeah.
And the cis gays and lesbians who were like, no, our rights are safe. Don't associate ourselves with you because you'll damage us.
Yeah, and also the trans people who were like, well, we only the people with a medical diagnosis.
I'll be one of the good ones.
I'll be one of the good ones. Yeah.
No. The second you start drawing lines and going, I'll let these less protected parts of my community let them lose their rights, and I'll be on the safe side of the line. That line will move, and you'll start losing yours.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It might be sooner, it might be later, but eventually, if you're not, the typical blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white sorts, they will eventually come for you and eat each other in the process. And I really hope that people, if they are not already awake to this, are gonna start waking up pretty fucking sharpish and do what we've been begging people to do for years, which is just stamp it the fuck out as hard as and immediate as possible, because this has grown in a insidious manner.
The more you allow a fire to spread, the harder it is to put out.
Indeed, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. How's it, mate?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good on, mate. Good on. Right. I think I'm going to go and pop the kettle on.
Oh, sounds like a plan.
Nice. So, Laura,
Yes?
you do stuff on the internet. Where can people find these things on the internet?
You're right, I do stuff on the internet. You can find the stuff I do on the internet at Laura K. Buzz pretty much everywhere. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills. Threads, Mastodon, wherever. I'm Laura K. Buzz on all the things. I've got a book coming out October 19th, Stories of Autistic Joy. Look forward to that. Episodes of Accessibility every Friday. Look forward to those. Just Laura K. Buzz everywhere. What about you?
I did a book with you. It's called
Yeah.
Who Hunts the Whale. It's about the people at Supremacy Software that you will have heard earlier, but we haven't recorded yet because that's how this show works. It's a silly and serious and satirical book about the video game industry that we find month by month because it is set this year. All the dates line up with this year. I deliberately did it that way. And believe me, I spent a lot of time wrangling things around the right dates. We keep finding it horribly prescient, unfortunately. But if you want to find out maybe what's going to happen for the rest of the year, read the book. Yeah. But it's funny. Anyway, also, I make stuff. I design t-shirts. I do music. I write reviews. You can go read my Dredge review. All of my links can be found at Linktree. That's linktree.ee/Janiac. No, it's not. Yeah, it is JANEIAC. I know where I am. I know what's happening. My most important one is patreon.com/stonedmonkeyradio. For as little as $1 a month, you can help get episodes of this show edited and anything else I try to create. I am working on things in the background, even if not all the stuff is getting released immediately. I'm trying to be good about that rather than just going, I made a thing, pop! It's out on the internet already. I'm trying to make a big thing for people to enjoy all at once. It is a secret, but it is being worked on. Ooh. And you can help support my ability to do that without being completely run into the ground. Yeah, that's all the things. Patreon.com/StonedMonkeyRadio. Thank you very much. Laura, will you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.